Foxtrot versus Quickstep, the Spotter's Field Guide. If you've ever found yourself totally mesmerized by a competition floor, but secretly wondering exactly how the judges instantly distinguish these two iconic dances, well, you're in the exact right place. Today, we're bringing you the ultimate explainer, a true guide to spotting the differences between the Foxtrot and the Quickstep, straight through the trained eye of a professional.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Picture a crowded floor or a really fast-paced competition recording. The music is absolutely flying, couples are gliding everywhere, and you kind of squint and ask yourself, wait, is that a foxtrot or is that a quickstep? Today we are decoding the floor to solve that exact mystery. How do you actually tell them apart when they're just blurring past you?
You know, the confusion is completely natural, because both of these beautiful styles belong to the exact same Ballroom Golden Era family. They evolved during a really similar time in history. They share that same elegant frame, the stunning attire like tailcoats and sweeping gowns, and they even both travel around the room in a counterclockwise direction. That shared DNA is exactly why we need a solid, structured approach to tell them apart. Now, our very first major clue is tempo and energy. When you look at the floor, just observe the overall speed. Foxtrot is typically slower. It reads to the eye like a smooth, continuous, really measured glide. Quickstep, on the flip side, is propulsive. It has this lively, forward-driving momentum. If the dance you're watching feels like it's constantly rushing ahead with a really bright, bouncy energy, yeah, you're definitely watching a Quickstep.
To start our spotting, we're going to use the ear test. First up is rhythm, which is the underlying pulse and timing of the movement. Let's actually break that rhythm down. Foxtrot is deeply, deeply rooted in a swing-based, flowing timing. When you watch it, the movement feels incredibly steady. It's measured, deliberate, and honestly just luxuriously timed. Contrast that with Quickstep, which has this deeply driving rhythmic pulse. It tends to look, and sometimes literally sound, percussive in its footwork. Actually, considering the insane cardio it takes, Quickstep dancers almost act as their own percussion section. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how those different rhythms manifest in the physical body. Because of its swing-based flow, the foxtrot supports a very long, incredibly controlled rise and fall. It's like one continuous, uninterrupted breath of movement. Quickstep, though, highly animated. The dancers frequently show a very sharp contrast between moments of explosive action and quick recovery steps. It creates this brisk, energetic character that is just totally distinct from foxtrot. Next up is the eye test. We are looking at floorcraft, which is simply how dancers travel, shape, and cover ground on the floor. So let's look at the sensory differences in how they actually travel. In Foxtrot, the traveling is markedly smoother and way more even. You'll see the couple maintain this calm, elegant frame, and their bodies rise and fall creates a gorgeous wave-like effect, moving gently through the partnership. Now shift your focus to Quickstep. The pair typically covers ground with this fascinating skimming quality. They look lighter, almost suspended from the floor, with frequent dynamic momentum changes. It's super bouncy and springy. Even when both dances feature couples locked in a standard closed hold, the geometry of their movement is entirely different. Foxtrot places a huge emphasis on continuous shaping, using these extended, sweeping lines that reach way out into the space of the room. Quickstep, on the other hand, relies heavily on compact, rapid figures. The dancers literally have to stay tight and contained to pull off those fast momentum changes without losing their balance or their connection. Now for the specifics. We are looking for signature action, those distinguishing step patterns that define the dance's true character. So the crucial point here is that Foxtrot commonly features smooth glides and progressive movements. It stays grounded, and its flowing timing totally supports those lyrical, sweeping lines we just talked about. Conversely, Quickstep is all about lively chases, those quick side-together side steps, and incredibly fast rhythmic passes. These specific step patterns are exactly what make Quickstep feel so bright and playful, rather than continuously gliding. Okay, I'm going to let you in on a very simple, highly actionable secret. I call this the transition test. If you are ever in doubt, just look down at the dancer's feet during their transitions between figures. If you see transitions happening in rapid succession with clear, fast foot contacts tapping the floor, boom, you are watching a Quickstep. But if the transitions are smooth, uniform, and the motion reads like a steady, continuous stream of water, you're absolutely watching a foxtrot. Finally, we look at the vibe test. We're evaluating performance tone, meaning the facial expression and overall emotional vibe. Foxtrot is almost always performed with a really graceful, composed expression. I mean, it is the absolute epitome of stylized elegance with highly controlled energy. It's cool, it's collected, it's sophisticated. Quickstep demands something entirely different. It leans heavily toward joyful intensity and this buoyant charisma. The dancers' faces will actively reflect the fast, celebratory pace of the music. It's just exuberant and highly infectious.
So let's see how all of this builds into our ultimate spotters formula. Look at how these elements stack up. Foxtrot gives you slower tempos, swing rhythm, wave-like movement, gliding footwork, and a graceful tone. Quickstep gives you fast tempos, driving rhythm, skimming movement, rapid chassé footwork, and joyful intensity. Seeing it all mapped out like a cheat sheet really highlights just how mechanically and emotionally distinct these two golden era dances truly are.
Before we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with the ultimate secret to success. Never rely on just one single observation. The real trick to instant recognition is to combine at least two cues at once. Combine the tempo you feel with the rhythmic texture you hear. Or combine that skimming movement style with the signature foot action. When you layer your observations, your accuracy as a spotter goes up to practically 100%. You're basically cross-referencing your data in real time.
And that brings us to the end of our field guide. You now have the tools, the vocabulary, and the structural understanding to completely decode the floor. So I leave you with this question. The next time you find yourself watching a beautifully crowded ballroom floor, which of these cues are you going to spot first? Will it be the sweeping wave of a foxtrot or the joyous, rapid skimming of a quickstep? Keep your eyes open, trust your new detective skills, and enjoy the wonderful world of dance. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.